How can I improve my Cantonese language level in Hong Kong? Introduction. Although Putonghua is already very popular in Hong Kong, you can use Putonghua or English to communicate in shopping or asking for directions, but it is still inconvenient if you can't speak Cantonese in Hong Kong. So many people want to learn Cantonese, but Cantonese is not an easy language. Some foreigners think Cantonese is very difficult, much harder than learning Mandarin. Today we will introduce some effective methods for learning Cantonese. If you have time to do it in the following ways, then your Cantonese will improve very quickly. I hope the following methods can help you learn Cantonese. 1. Watch Hong Kong movies. Improving Chinese level through movies and TV shows is one of the methods chosen by many foreign Chinese learners. They can accumulate words by watching some Chinese movies and TV shows, but how do you choose a Chinese movie and TV show that suits you? Will it be a shortcut to learning Chinese? Some Chinese learners have become proficient in communicating with people in Chinese in daily life, but they still improving their Chinese by watching some Chinese TV dramas with more words and more complicated sentences which are difficult to understand. Through these film and television works, they want to learn more about Chinese history, society and culture in order to increase their knowledge reserve. Film and television dramas are a good way to learn, but they require a certain language foundation. Just like us Chinese watching American dramas, watching Chinese movies and TV dramas is very helpful for Chinese learning, but if students do not have a certain language foundation, it will affect the learning effect. 2. Listening to Cantonese songs. In addition, we can also listen to Cantonese songs in our spare time. Listening to Cantonese songs is very helpful for listening. Often listening to Cantonese songs will greatly improve your Cantonese listening ability, and listening to songs is in a very relaxed and pleasant environment. This way of learning can make you remember and make you learn faster. Listening to songs can not only learn Cantonese, but also increase your vocabulary and correct your pronunciation. Some of our Mandarin-speaking students listened to Cantonese and learned very good Cantonese. So when listening to Cantonese songs, we suggest to sing along while listening to the songs. 3. Learning Cantonese in a language school. Going to a language center to learn Cantonese is also a very good way. Because the language center has a good language environment, you can do one-to-one Cantonese study or group Cantonese study. Both methods have their pros and cons, but if you want to learn Cantonese in a short time, then one-to-one courses are best for you, because you can adjust your time, such as 2 hours at a time, from Monday to Friday. The Circle Center also provides a lot of teaching materials for learning Cantonese. Learning in such an environment is definitely getting twice the result with half the effort. In addition, if you have any questions, you can ask your Cantonese teacher right away. The teacher can not only correct your pronunciation problems, but also immediately correct your grammatical errors. Another way to learn Cantonese is to join a Cantonese study group. There are about 5 to 6 people in a group. Everyone's Cantonese level is about the same. There is a teacher who teaches this group. Everyone can hear other students speak Cantonese. Listening is very helpful, and this learning method is very interactive. If you learn Cantonese in a group, you can have more interactions between students, so that students' learning enthusiasm will be improved, and this learning method will be more interactive. Interesting, but group learning Cantonese also has its shortcomings, that is, sometimes the time is not uniform. Individuals have their own learning time and learning progress. Maybe the teacher will have a little difficulty in parallel progress, so some students will learn faster. I think the course is relatively simple, but some students may not be able to keep up with the progress of the course, so they may withdraw from this course. 4. Find a private Cantonese tutor. Finding a Cantonese teacher is the fastest way to learn Cantonese. We recommend learning Cantonese with the teacher 2 to 3 times a week, each time between 1.5 hours to 2 hours. The advantage of finding a Cantonese teacher is that you can ask him questions about Cantonese learning anytime, anywhere, and one-to-one teachers can immediately help you correct your pronunciation errors or grammatical problems. Although you may have to spend some money, but this is definitely the fastest and most effective way to learn Cantonese. If you are a beginner, you can basically get basic communication ability within 3 months. We believe that within half a year or a year, you can basically communicate with local people in Cantonese, and there are no obstacles. Everyone knows that time is very precious. Instead of using other methods to learn a language in other places, it is better to find a teacher, because everyone wants to learn a language in the fastest way and in the most effective way. How to find a good Cantonese teacher? In fact, finding a Cantonese teacher does not have much to do with his academic qualifications, but the teacher must have some experience and his teaching materials. Good teaching materials and some helpful auxiliary materials will be of great help to teaching, and will also allow students to learn this language faster and more enjoyable. 5. Read Cantonese textbooks. Learn Chinese characters. Chinese characters are the essence of Chinese. It would be quite difficult to learn Cantonese if you don't know Chinese characters, because Cantonese words are all represented by phonetic symbols, and the phonetic tones of Cantonese are very complicated. It is better to learn Chinese characters, because Chinese characters are easier to recognize. Many of my students recognize Chinese characters faster than they learn tones. Foreign students find it difficult when they see a man, but this is not the case. At the beginning, you may find Chinese characters very difficult to write and read, but more and more you will feel that Chinese characters are actually easier to pronounce than tones. For how to learn Chinese characters, please refer to here. After learning enough Chinese characters, you can start to read newspapers. Reading Chinese newspapers is also a great help for learning Cantonese. Besides learning more vocabulary, it can also help us make sentences more effectively. Reading books and reading newspapers can learn vocabulary that we don't use often, so that our vocabulary is better. In this way, we can communicate more smoothly and express ourselves more smoothly when we communicate with local people in Hong Kong. Another advantage of reading books and newspapers is that it allows you to better understand Chinese culture and history, which is very helpful for learning Cantonese and communicating with locals. 6. Chat with local Hong Kong people. Chatting with Hong Kong people is the fastest and most convenient way to learn Cantonese. Our ultimate goal of learning Cantonese is to chat with local people or do business. So we should try to communicate with local people as much as possible, so that if you are used to the speed of Cantonese speaking, you will learn new words more quickly. Many students who use Mandarin, because they have a Cantonese environment, they speak Cantonese or listen to Cantonese to their colleagues or classmates every day. Therefore they will learn very fast, and their pronunciation and vocabulary will be very much improved, and men and women may speak differently when chatting with different people, so that you will hear different accents and are very good for listening skills. Remember that when speaking to Cantonese, it is not the most important thing to say whether you speak well or not. If you have a good vocabulary, you can express what you want to say clearly. So we must try our best to make time to chat and talk with locals and Hong Kong people. If a child is learning Cantonese, then watching videos and listening to Cantonese songs is the most effective way, because a child learns the language the fastest. Basically, you don't need to teach him how to speak, he will follow the TV or the radio learns, and the learning speed is incredible. In addition, we also recommend to prepare some cards for children. These cards are the children's favorite. They are not only rich in colors but also very interesting in content. Smaller is the most important thing in Cantonese. It starts with basic simple conversations, such as numbers, colors, and animals, so that they will find it interesting and fun, so that they will be more enjoyable to learn. Summary. In summary, learning Cantonese is actually not difficult. Our recommended method is to learn while playing. You can listen to songs, watch movies, read newspapers, and chat with Cantonese people, or hire a Cantonese teacher, or go to a language school group or a group. It is a very good way to learn this language. Which method do you think is best for you?